Hey everybody, this is part 23 of my Haven Call of the King Let's Play, and I can't exactly say what just happened in that last video. It kind of just ended, and then I started, this starts right here, the footage just goes black and then picks up right here, and I have all my eggs. They're still, I have all of my eggs in a row. I think the phrase is ducks in a row. But you know what? Ducks have eggs. Ducks lay eggs. They're called duck eggs. You know, like that Marx Brothers routine. You know, I'll have, you know, one hard-boiled egg, two hard-boiled eggs, and one duck egg. Marx Brothers. You should check them out. They're funny guys. They're good guys. They got the funny jokes. They got all sorts of funny jokes. But yeah, I can't say that I'm complaining about, you know, disappearing night-day egginess, because I mean all my eggs are still there, and I'm happy. I'm happy with my progress. I think that I'm making good time. I think Haven will be out of here, you know, in a not a substantial, an insubstantial amount of time. So I think he's got good progress. I think he's doing well. Haven's doing as well as he possibly can at this moment in time. We can't expect much from Haven. It's like watching the Special Olympics. It's like you can't expect much, but you can be impressed when they do well. You can be impressed when they do well. And that was my horrible thing to say for the day. But it's interesting that I mentioned the Special Olympics, because the real Olympics are happening. And god, that was my second really awful thing to say, implying that the Special Olympics are not at all real Olympics. But, how should I put this? The Olympics, done by... God, there's really no way to phrase this without sounding like a horrible person. The Olympics that are being held in London for the summer season of 2012. There we go. That's the way I'm gonna phrase that. They're interesting. I'm enjoying these Olympics. I always enjoy the Olympics. I think that a lot of people, like, even if they're not huge sports fans, I think that a lot of people can get together and really appreciate the Olympics, because, I mean, it's just a worldwide thing, and it also doesn't hurt that we always win a shitload of medals. I mean, when it comes to winter, we tend to lose out to Canada, because, I mean, they live and breathe ice. They live and breathe ice, and they don't know anything else. And so, I mean, summer comes around, and they're just like... I can see the road. I can see the road. There's not snow covering it. That's wildly surprising to me. So, I mean, a swimming pool? I mean, you swim in water? How is this thing accomplished? I mean, all of our water is solid. I mean, even when we drink it, we're not really drinking it, we're eating our water because it's solid and we can't unfreeze it. Let's see if I can make any more generalizations about Canada. I could go for the obvious and say, I could go for the obvious and say a boot. Those are just a little too obvious. Man, Canadians have good television, though. I mean, that's kind of a non sequitur, I suppose. But, I mean, it's true. You know, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Goosebumps? All of those things, you know. Canada, man. Saw Canada. You know, and, I also really like, not just their kids' shows, but I went to Canada a few years ago, and, despite everything I just said, it's not all ice. I went during the summer, and it was actually very pleasant, and it was a temperature that was comfortable. It was comfortable. It was warm. It was not too hot, as it sometimes is prone to be down here in the US of A, which stands for United Saccharins of Andrew Jackson. Maybe a little bit. But I digress. Canada's a cool place, and I really do enjoy it. Unlike these spiders that destroy the turrets. I don't like them, because, I mean, they destroy my turrets, and I kinda need those things. But hey, emus! Emus! Yeah! Go ahead, put emus in the video games that I play, please. I wish that more video games that I played had emus in them. I wish that I could pop in a Mario game and, hey, emu. I mean, I can play, or maybe they're ostriches. I don't know my exotic birds well enough. But I could play Donkey Kong Country, and there's that freaking ostrich, emu, flying, whatever. I mean, I can play that, but, you know, I can't sit down. I can't pop in Call of Duty and ride an emu around. And that's why I don't like Call of Duty. It's not because of the other reasons that people give, because, you know, they're putting out one a year and then just it's the same game. No, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that it doesn't have emus in it. I mean, come on. If you're gonna make a video game, somebody has to be on the board thinking, emus, man. Emus. And then every video game that doesn't have an emu in it, somebody else is saying, no, we're not gonna put emus in our video game. We're not gonna put emus in Metal Gear Solid. And then Hideo Kojima is just like, huh, emu, we must have emu. And then the other guys, the like developers are just like, we're not putting emus in there. Solid Snake is not going to ride an emu while he's fighting, well, I was about to say Raiden, but I can't see why he would need to fight Raiden. But, you know, I'm telling you, all these debates that are going on about video games right now, you know, they're saying, ooh, indie games are taking over for mainstream because indie games are the ones that are innovating, or mainstream games are the way of the future because they have such realistic graphics, or, you know, any other debate that's happening, like Dead Space isn't scary enough, Resident Evil 6 is too much like Call of Duty. I think that every single video game dispute can be solved by just throwing in a couple of emus. I'm not saying you have to put in a whole freaking army of emus. I'm just saying, maybe put one in the background. Maybe make a Harvest Moon game where I can have a ranch of only emus or ostriches. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. As a concerned gamer, as someone who has stuck around with this industry since the day he was born, I was born with an SNES in my hands. Literally, I don't know how it happened. My mom and dad are just as surprised as I am to this day. But, you know, if you can just give me some emus, I think everybody would agree with me. There's nothing to be lost in that business venture. Now back to what I was saying about Canada. It's a really nice place and they have really nice television. And specifically, when I visited Canada, my brother and I, this is my brother John, I have 3 older brothers and I have 4 sisters. Yeah, it's one of those Catholic family ordeals that, frankly, just kind of grosses me out when I have to think about all of the itty-bitty details. Anyway, my brother and I, the one who showed up at the end of my Twisted Metal Let's Play, we were getting settled into our hotel room in Canada, just, you know, taking a look around, just, like, seeing all of the fancy features, like curtains and toilet, you know, everything that, you know, is just really fancy. And then we just turned on the TV, and there was a show on called Dan for Mayor. We didn't know what it was called at the time. to give credence to my story. We didn't know what it was called. We just turned it on and we saw that it was a sitcom. And at first we saw some things that appeared to be kind of like, oh, well, it's a sitcom, of course they're gonna do that. But then, as it went on, there were some really impressive jokes in it, and I don't want to say what the jokes were, because I think that everybody should watch and experience this show for themselves, because, I mean, there are a lot of, like, deconstructions of sitcoms. There are a lot of sitcoms that lampshade everything that every other sitcom does, and then there are those random sitcoms that will just try to lampshade sitcoms, but then end up being exactly what they're trying to make fun of in the first place. Those are the weird ones. But this one really succeeds at what it's going for, and I have to give them a lot of credit for it, because it's a really funny show, and it's got really heartfelt, memorable characters, and it's got a funny plot. It's got a... I mean, it's one of those things where you know, it's like, okay, so it's a plot. It's a plot, and that's what the whole show's gonna be about. The title tells you what the show is about. Dan is this regular guy who's trying to be the mayor, so he has this whole campaign and whatnot, and that's just what the show's about. And so we watched this, and we were thoroughly impressed by what the show had to offer. And so we looked it up later, and we were like, hey, this show is called Dan for Mayor. I would like to know no more about this show, but America doesn't get this channel, because this channel is a Canadian channel. Because apparently my brother and I are now really snobby British guys. So then we were looking, we checked out Amazon.ca sometime later and found out that the first season of Dan for Mayor was available on the DVD system. So we purchased said DVD, not the system, we purchased the DVD that goes on to the DVD system, and we watched the entire first season of Dan for Mayor, and it was all as good as that one episode that we just happened to stumble upon. And I was checking things out earlier, and apparently it got cancelled after its second season, which is kind of a shame, because I would have liked to check in every now and then on Amazon.ca and buy another season of what could be one of the funniest TV shows ever made. I only say could be because any show could be the funniest TV show ever made. I'm not actually making a claim that Dan for Mayor is the funniest show. I'm just saying it could be. I mean, Breaking Bad, depending on who you're talking to, could be the funniest show on TV. I mean, well, it actually is. Breaking Bad has some funny stuff in it. I mean, it's all darker than... It's all darker than midnight. Wow, I need to come up with more clever analogies than that, but it could be darker than death. God, I'm not good with the analogies. I'm just gonna give up on them for now. It's a really black comedy, interspliced with the darkest drama you can possibly imagine. But some person could find all of that incredibly funny. There are people who find funerals funny, and maybe in an existentialist way they are. I don't particularly find funerals funny, because that's just kind of like, oh god, I'm laughing, and I should not be laughing. Laughing is the worst thing I could possibly do right now. I mean, if you go to a funeral and you, like, poop in one of the aisles or whatever, wherever you're sitting, if you poop right in your chair, then, you know, people around you might chalk it up to, oh my god, he's so sad that this person is pooping himself. I need to comfort this person right now. I will clean up on his behalf. Whereas, I mean, if you poop in any other situation, somebody's just gonna be like, ooh, ooh, get it, ooh, get that, gross, ooh, gross, get it, oh no, you don't. But at a funeral, you could poop yourself, and they might be okay with it. Anyway, that took a turn for the worse, but, thanks for watching, guys, and, check out next time!